Okay, now we're doing data structures. So I try to record the lectures, and they work about 80% of the time. And the more you help me, the more then they work, because often it's human error, and the human is often me. So there we did. We just turned it on. All right, so what are we doing? I'm going to make these slides, and I have taught this course once before, so I do have some slides, but as I go through, we'll change them. As I said, we'll try to record them. And we're going to have some assignments and some tests. And, some of this stuff. And I've taught 3101 many times, and I've copied slides. So sometimes things will show up that look more 31-oriented. But everybody should always have this Corman book around anyway. But that was you? All right, no problem. I was just making sure it wasn't me. All right, so if you go to the course homepage, it looks like this. And there's a lots of stuff that you can get from here. This will have about this specific class, course description. I stuck this in a couple days ago because of that last slide. This tells you the dates of the various assignments and tests and things. We're going to talk about submitting your photo. I have a bunch of fun lectures I put in there. You can find out about your marks. But actually, we're going to be using we might be using this automatic mark program, so they might not show up here. We'll see how we go. The forum, it's good to be subscribed to the forum. There's a forum for this class. And so it'll tell you if I suddenly need to tell you something, or you want to ask questions or talk to each other, it's good to talk on the forum. This course does have assignments, so you can submit through the submit button. I have been busy, so all the assignments are made up already, and so you can start looking at them. I talked to one person who's working on them already. And then here's the topics. All right, so if you push on a little pebble, it'll tell you, bring up the slides for the topic. And if you push on one of these little talking people, then it'll give you the video from when I taught it last time. I've taught it once before. And so those are all our topics. If you click on any one of these things, it'll bring you down to a list of those topics. There's the web page. There's a 0 here that confuses, that maybe I should get rid of, but it's there because I was trying to keep it away from 2001. Actually, that's why the 0's there. All right, so this actually is a slide I wrote more from 3101 because there, really, people do so badly. And I don't have enough demographics yet to remember. I don't remember how people did when I taught it last time. But certainly when I teach 2001, people just crash and burn, right? So let's see if we can make sure that everybody learns this material, all right? So talk to each other and talk to me and read the slides and think about the material, work hard on it. We did a little survey before some of you got here, and it seemed like 2/3 of the people thought this class was going to be hard. So if you're nervous, try to shake it off and come to class. Another thing that always shocks me about class is how few of you come. You really, are you amazed by that? I mean, you pay big bucks, and you're all worried about failing, and 1/3 of you don't even come. All right, so I've gotten harder core about, in 3101, my running joke, and there's some truth of it, is on each test, half the class get a 0 on it, right? It's just, you have to learn the material. So this course is supposed to be more about the coding of the material And the 30-101 is supposed to be more about thinking abstractly about the algorithms. But I'm not much of a coder, and so you're going to get more of this abstract thinking than maybe you would like. But if nothing else, it'll be better for 30-101. You'll get you warmed up for 30-101, and quite frankly, it'll get you more warmed up for doing interviews with Google or somebody. All right? So really, we want to be able to think about algorithms and in this case, data structures in a way that you can talk about them with other people, and you can think about them, and you can know that they work. And that's our goal here. All right? So there are coding assignments, and I'm not much of a coder myself, but I did manage to code these, so I can code some things. But I find when I talk to people, well, what did you spend your time on? You know, they'll say, oh, I put in 50 hours on that coding assignment. And then I say, well, how much time did you spend studying? And they don't spend as much time, right? So really, the ultimate goal here is to do well in the exam. So don't just spend your time coding, right? Make sure you learn the material as well. We're going to have a bunch of assignments. We're going to have a midterm. We're going to have an exam. And we're going to have class participation. And so we're going to have a complicated grading scheme. And I'm going to try to explain it here. But you know, it's high school math, so don't. One thing I get frustrated with is how many people come and ask me about the grading scheme. So try to work it out. So really, there's some percentage that's is just allocated, like the midterm is worth 20%, but then there's this extra 8% that we're going to allocate to whichever is better. Right? So the advantage of that is it could go to your midterm. So, it won't go to the assignments. It only goes to tests. All right? So it could go to your midterm if you do well in your midterm. But if you bomb your midterm, you don't have to panic because it can go towards your exam if you do better on the exam. Right? And the class participation mark, if you're doing really well on all your exams, then it doesn't really matter if you participate in class, right? But I want to give the people the opportunity who aren't doing well in the exams but are participating for me to help them out, all right? So if you participate a lot, then you'll get a good mark in class participation, and then then all that goes towards that 8%, right? Everybody kind of follow that? All right, so the coding assignments are in Java, and you can talk to each other. So in 2001 and in 30-101, I don't have assignments anymore. And the reason I don't have assignments is because when I give assignments, my sense is that one person does it and everybody gets the answer from them. Right? So, and then, because I have this belief, whether or not it's true, I then have to make the assignments harder, which perpetuates the problem. Right? So the advantages of tests for me is that they help practice for tests. So on the topic of copying, I think it's good to have a definition of copying. All right? And I think my definition isn't quite the same as other people. I'm a little bit more laxed about it. All right? So my rule about copying is you can talk to anybody you want, more or less about anything. But try not to give people the exact answer, right? And even if if somebody's talking to me and they're getting more and more panicked and it's getting more and more close to the time, right, I can give them bigger and bigger hints, right? But here, one thing is for sure when it comes down to copying, all right, for sure, is even if somebody did give you the entire answer, which I don't think is fair that they should, but suppose somebody does, my request is that you put all that aside, all the notes aside, watch an hour of some TV show that's mindless, and then write it up yourself. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere you need to have it in your brain, right? You need to be able to, one thing that's for sure you need to be able to do is, if on the test I say, what was the answer to the assignment, you better know it, right? You know what I'm saying? All right? And quite frankly, the coding assignments, it's all about, that little notation, and do you understand pointers, and so it's harder to memorize that anyway. You kind of have to understand it and get it in your brain. In fact, let me say something about pointers right now. I would almost say that I actually added a slide about this. I was watching a video about math once this week, and it said one of the hardest things for math people to know, or anybody to know, is how hard it's going to be for someone else to do what you know how to do. Right? So I think that this course isn't very hard, but of course you're going to find it harder. So it's hard for me to judge what you'll find hard. But my sense is that the hardest thing will be manipulating pointers. And if you kind of get pointers down, then the rest won't be as hard. Anyway, the assignments are mostly about manipulating pointers. All right? And if you can manipulate pointers, my bet is if you know how to manipulate pointers, you could do the assignment in 20 minutes. And if you don't know how to manipulate pointers, you'll never get it. Right? All right. Oh, another thing is I don't like people feeling isolated. So I think you should work in pairs and hand in one assignment with a pair. You put your name on top of it for both of you. That also has the added bonus of there's less marking to do. But I think it's good to work in pairs. In fact, I would say when you're choosing a partner to work with, don't choose somebody who's like you. Choose somebody who's very different than you. The best way to learn material is to teach it to somebody who doesn't understand it. So by choosing you think you want to choose the person who's the best at it, but if you choose the person who's worst at it, it might actually be the best for you, because your job is then to teach it to them. The other thing is, I only had one coding assignment I recall in undergrads where I actually tried to get it to run. Usually I would just not worry about that. And it was because I had a partner who was good at the details and I was good at the algorithms, and together we got it running the first time. So anyway, all these assignments are available. You can work on them. Here's our schedule. We got assignments that are due, and we have a midterm, and we have an exam. It's pretty straightforward. Class participation. So how does this work? I could take attendance. I could write down every time somebody asks a question, but really I'm lazy. So the way class participation works is I will never remember your name. It's just I won't. So I get everybody to submit a photo, and then after the exam is over, I scroll through the pictures, and if I recognize you, you get a good participation mark. It's really that easy, all right? And my experience is there are about, half dozen people, and they usually sit around here. I feel he's going to be one of them, who interact with me during class. And those guys in the back row, yeah, I probably will never know who you are. Right? All right. Yeah, don't feel isolated. Talk to each other, right? Get together with people in the class. Talk about the material. And me, you know, I'm not really that scary. I'm older than you. Really, that's the main difference between you and me. I've been here longer. Right? And office hours, it's hard. If you come to my office, for example, the probability that you find me is really small. It's really small, right? In fact, my schedule, when I'm supposed to be here now, you wouldn't believe. I feel, actually, I complained to the chair, and so he put me on a couple more committees. So maybe you'll find me because I'm here for a committee. But in terms of teaching, I have to be here now. And that's it. So when are we going to have office hours? After this class. You know, we'll stick around as long as people want. And email me. In fact, my cell phone, which I forgot at home today, is numbers on the slides. You can always call me, text me. You know, if you're really worried about something, talk to me. All right? Oh, this is what I was just saying. I really have a hard time knowing how hard something is going to be. In fact, did I write it down here? I'll tell you what happens to me every time I make up a test. Right? I have various anxiety in me, too. And one of the anxieties is after I make up a test, I always have this anxiety that everybody's going to get perfect on it. I mean, it's so easy. And then what happens is everybody fails it. Right? So I still haven't quite managed to figure out how hard things are. All right? All right, so people don't I was never a good note taker. So you know, if writing something helps you, go for it. But you know, the slides are here, the videos are here, so you don't have to take notes. So what are my fears around? I mean, it's having the videos. This is talking about pros and cons of posting the videos. So the pros are maybe you're sick one day and you can stay home and watch it, right? Or you're looking after your grandmother or something and you can watch it. So there's some pros here. And in fact, some people may be really good at this stuff. And, you know, they get an A, and I asked them how they did it. They said, oh, I just stood at home and I watched your videos, and it was easy. Right? I mean, that could be good, right? But I think there are other people, the cons are that there are other people who think they're good, and then they fail, right? And I think there is a plus to coming to class and interacting with me. So my advice is, you know, missing class once or twice and then watching the video is good, but if it starts piling up, then you might try to catch up and come to class. Oh, yeah, so this course, you know, the other courses, as I teach them dozens and dozens of times, I get a little better at knowing what you don't understand, all right? But I've only taught this once, and it was a long time ago, and to me, quite frankly, if you would ask me, well, when did I learn what a binary tree was, I would say I learned it, you know, in the womb. You know, I mean, it just feels like it's something I always knew. So don't expect me to be good at knowing what you don't know. All right? And so what you're going to have to do is if I'm saying something and I say, well, of course that's obvious, and it's not obvious to you, then really don't be shy, because if you don't know it, probably half the class doesn't know it too, and you can pipe up. And in fact, one thing I find useful, I know when I was a student, I tried to help out the class by, if I was pretty sure most of the people I knew it, but I thought most people in the room don't know it, then you can ask, you can help by helping the class, saying, hey, you know, I bet you people don't know this. All right? And in terms of asking questions, I get into a kind of a flow with the slides, right? So if what you're asking is really relevant to what just came on the slide and you want to understand it, be sure to bang your hand up loud and make sure we get, clear up your problem. But if your question's kind of off topic or you want to, say something that sounds smart, wait until there's a pause. And I've been told by various people that the way I should become a better professor is to make you interact with me more. And I don't know, I've never quite been that good at that part. I'll ask questions, and then the 6 people up here in front, they shout out the answer, and then I don't know about the rest of you guys. All right? So the advice here is, if you're the one shouting out the answer all the time, at least take a breath to let other people think about it. Try not to shout out answers. Try to, ideally, we can get the people in the back to talk. All right? And this is a funny slide. The first decade and a half that I taught here, there was always, in every class, there was one student I didn't like. Right? And the reason I didn't like them is because it felt like we were battling. They were interrupting to kind of say that they were smarter than me and that they knew all the answers, and we didn't get along. Right? But then I made this slide, and since then we get along fine. All right? So just remember, my goal is to help you, and so there's no sense battling me. Besides, I probably know the material better than you. And this is just, this goes back to having, even if you know the material, asking questions to help the class as a whole. There was one term where I had 2 sections of the exact same course. And the one class did significantly better on all the tests. And my one theory is that there was this one woman who asked lots of great questions. All right? So, how do you submit a photo? You get a photo, you change it to your name, last name, first name, and you use the submit command. People struggle with it, but it's not so hard. And if you're sending me email and you don't want me to know who you are, then that's the way it's going to be because I don't know your name. But if you want me to know who you are, if you send a picture, then I'll know you and I can say, hey, next time I see you. Right? And I think there's a slide about it later. We'll talk about, right? So here's the submit command. The forum, I told you about the forum. It's good to log on. I found this confusing here. If there's a check mark, that means you're not subscribed, and you click on subscribe, and then it's an X, and then you are subscribed. I don't know. It just sort of turned my brain around the first time I saw it. So subscribe. Oh, and make sure you subscribe to the entire forum, not just the one topic. You can all right. So here, let's do a survey. Now what we're going to do, in fact, the next couple minutes is going to feel a little scary because what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you the entire course. All right, more or less. All right? So expect that that's going to happen. And if you understand everything I say, then go home. All right? All right, so we're supposed to, Java, right? The truth is I don't remember that much Java myself. All right, so you're supposed to, what do I say here? I think we're all supposed to know it, and you probably know it better than I do. And luckily, when I made the slides, I put in the right Java, so now I think the Java's right. And if you ever see anything that's not right, we can talk about it. But So there's a set of, on the course note, on the page, there's a set of slides called Java Primer. And I flipped through them to prime myself because it's been 5 years since I'd written a Java program. But we're not going to do it. All right? You're going to have to do it yourself. All right? And then there's all this object-oriented stuff. And the truth is, I went through computer science before this stuff happened, and I'm still a little old school. You know, I still think in terms of input-output. But I've worked into, in fact, I just worked a few more of this stuff in. I flipped through. There's another, Andy has another set of pages that talks about this stuff, and I flipped through it again to make sure I knew it all, and I threw some more into our slides. So what I thought was interesting, I've stuck into the slides, and you might want to flip through Andy's slides to see if what you think. And in fact, if you see some things about object-oriented stuff, that's certainly somewhere where I might not know it, and you can say, hey, let's learn that.